Hey guys, just want to talk about the balance that men and women bring to themselves. And I was thinking about this because I was thinking about the purpose of men and women. And when you look at a larger society, oftentimes when you look at something extreme, because extreme things tell us, right? Think about it this way. If you want to test a material and find out what it's made of, what you do is you test it as extremes, right? You test the boiling point and freezing point. Test the point that it breaks. You test the point that it can bend. And the point is that you can find out what a substance is if you test its extremes. Well, you can test also the purposes of men and women by doing that as well. And one of the extremes I was thinking about was war, right? When you think about war, it is the purpose of grown men to send the boys and the young men to die, right? Now you might say, man, that's kind of bogus to think of it in that sense, but that's what it is, right? We are older men who oversee society are deeming it the purpose of men to put their lives on the line to make that society safe or to fight for the values that that society deems are valuable or is significant enough to fight for. And they send their boys to do that. And then on the other hand, you have women of the society who are giving life to these boys. And then in many cases, begging and pleading that these boys don't be sent to their deaths, right? And oftentimes we may see that as them two being in opposition to each other, but they're really not. It's a balance. And what I mean by that is in a perfect society, what you would have is even in the extreme of a war or the extreme of sending somebody to a dire situation, what you would have is the men of the society saying this is something that needs to be done. The women of the society saying, please don't hurt my baby boy. And the balance would be, okay, I'm a man. I'm still in control of my society. But I hear what you're saying, ladies. We're going to try to moderate as much as we can, but we still have a job to do. And what these two forces, the masculine and the feminine force, do is this. The masculine might decide the purpose, but the feminine one is going to try to soften the blow. And I think of it in a system of justice, right? Somebody's up for a crime. And the masculine frame is both the judge and the prosecutor, right? The masculine frame is saying, what do your actions deserve? And then the masculine frame being the prosecutor, the feminine frame being the defender. Please, we know he did wrong, but give him mercy. And then the masculine frame also being the judge saying, okay, I hear what you're saying. He does deserve this. Can we give him some leeway? Can we give him some grace? We still need to try to do something that he deserves. On the other hand, we do give an ear to grace. And I think that's that balance that masculine and feminine bring together. The same in a family. When I'm out there with my boys, I want to discipline them because I want them to do right. And my wife, she wants to encourage them to do what they're doing. And I want to come with a heavy hand a lot of times. And my wife, what she'll want to do is she'll want to plead for mercy because she sees the little baby in them. But me, I'm seeing the man that I'm trying to create in them. And so the two of us, we both are pulling together, but ultimately it is the tension that we are creating between ourselves that creates good parenting. Because you don't want that straight up harshness where the Bible talks about a father frustrating their children. On the other hand, you don't want that straight up lax parenthood that we see throughout modern society now. And the reason that we see so much lax parenthood in society now is because the balance has been broken. Instead of the father being in charge, the mother's in charge. And so what we're seeing is a lax parent, right? Where the father, oftentimes, if he is there, he's overruled or he allows himself to be overruled. Let's put it a better way. He allows himself to be overruled. And we get to the point where there's so much mercy that the kids don't think rules are really real anymore. They think everything is negotiable. And what happens when you grow up and you think everything is negotiable is when you actually do hit absolutes, you don't believe that they are real. So, for example, you'll have a lady, she'll get on the Kevin Samuel show and she'll say, I'm 300 pounds, but I still can get a high value man. And she doesn't realize that reality is an absolute that her desires can't transcend. So the reality is this absolute that, hey, a man who's making $1 million is not going to want somebody that's obese as a norm, right? Now, somebody might be able to put an exception, but the point is the norm, they don't want that. So she's going to hit this absolute and she's going to resist it, right? So if you've seen that show, like I've seen that show, many women will argue that. And a lot of us watching it are always amazed. Well, I can't believe somebody will argue that. But the truth is, this is somebody who's been raised in a feminine frame where the masculine and the feminine did not balance themselves. On the other hand, you could see, you see a lot of movies about the 1800s or the early 1900s where there is no mother. Mother is dead. Mother died during childbirth. And now the kids are all raised by the dad. And the kids, they get raised in this harsh environment where there's not a whole lot of communicating. Because I'll tell you the truth, when I come home, I really don't want to talk. That's just the way that I am. And I talk to a lot of men, and that's the way they are. They come home, they don't want to be doing all that talking and chattering and all that stuff. Some men do, but the vast majority of men don't. They come home and they want to be silent. But the problem is when we do that with our kids, they don't get the virtue of that communication. They don't get the virtue of that nurturing, that life-giving that women give them. And so all they get is, this is the structure, this is what we doing. Sometimes we don't even like giving an explanation for what we doing. Because that's just how men is. We don't want to talk because we don't have to. I talk at work. I got a word quota. And when I reach that word quota, I don't want to go past it. I feel like you need to pay me some extra money for me to go past that word quota. A lot of other men may not be as extreme as me, but I know they lying. They feel the same way. And when you get past that word quota, you don't feel like explaining anything, but kids need explanations. And so what happens when you get raised in that atmosphere is, like I said, you lack that nurturing, that life-giving that women give. So, hey, that's the balance that men and women bring to each other. And that's why we in a society that we in now and the problems that we face. Most of the problems that we face are actually problems that have to do with feminine nature being out of balance. And that's why we got to bring men back in charge and teach men how to take charge.